talking about the inner blocks that can come up when writing a book. Now, if you've been working on it, or you've been thinking about it, or you've written a book, you got it published, you probably know what I'm talking about because this is kind of part of the process. No matter if we want it or not, it comes with it. And it really doesn't matter what kind of book we're writing, this is still going to come up, like where we feel imposter syndrome, like, oh, who am I to say this? Or is it good enough? Wondering, comparing it to other works out there already. And we have to remember that doing this doesn't help anybody. It's not helping you. You had this passion, this drive to get this book out there for a reason. And it's so good to follow through, even when it gets hard and tough. And I know that some books, it can be a bit harder than others, especially if it has more of a personal touch to it or a personal experience, personal story in it, because it's kind of like you're serving your heart on a platter to for all to see and do whatever they want with it. And I know that can definitely be scary. I know I've definitely gone through that. So when I wrote my international best-selling book, I found that I was getting in my own way. So the last 2 months, I kept finding things to edit. And I just kept doing it and finding, oh, this needs to be changed, this. And then I stopped myself. I was like, what am I doing? And then I realized that I was procrastinating getting my book published, like pressing the last button and getting it out there. And so what I did is I journaled about this, and it took a while to find out what the underlying layer was for that. But I finally figured out that I was so scared to get such a personal book out there and sharing it with the world that I was getting in my own way for that. And so finally, when I realized that, pressed that button and I got it published and sent it to my publisher. And yeah, so it makes a huge difference when you figure out what the cause of the action you're doing that for. So I know a lot of you have had issues with like accountability, self-doubt, comparison, um, procrastination, like I had mentioned, and the priorities, motivation. So if we look at all this stuff, is it's usually our ego, our mind telling us that, oh, wait, this needs to be lower on the list. Like, oh, this doesn't need to be the priority. This doesn't need to be high up here. Oh, wait, you don't know how to do this, or whatever you're maybe finding to take it out of your regular routine. And it's a good thing to figure out what is causing this to come up. So like, let's say if it's a fear of judgment, what will people think? Imposter syndrome. Who am I to write this? Perfectionism. It's never good enough, or the comparison. Somebody has already done this. Overwhelmed. There's too much to say, and I don't know where to start. So my tip for this is to journal about it. And I know this doesn't work for everybody, but this is just something that I reference because it has worked for me. And it's like you can just ask yourself, what's stopping me right now? And then it's good to get as specific as you possibly can when these come up. And when you do this, especially if you're not used to journaling, you might have to try it a few different times. And remember to have an open mind when you're doing this, and just let the words flow out of you. Work on not judging and editing it when you are working on that answer. And then there are some other things that you can do too. It's like when you're writing this stuff and you're figuring out like, oh, no one's gonna care with what I have to say, then change it. Rewrite what you're saying to yourself. Say, oh, people are going to love what I have to say. My story will land in the hands of those who truly need it, whatever it may be for you. Another thing that someone might say is, I'm not a real writer. You could say, I'm a writer because I write. I'm a writer because I can write or whatever it may be. So you don't have to say that you're not a real writer because if you can write, you're a writer, actually. So it doesn't have to be, you don't need to be a spectacular something over here. So I know a few of my friends and people in my life that they look at me and they see that I've been passionate about writing since I was young. But all in all, that doesn't change the fact that someone else could be also a writer and maybe not have the backup for it as well. So that's something good to think about. Then let's see, we talked about, yes. So you can also start making some mantras for yourself to empower yourself. So like if you're saying I'm not a writer, then as you have that rewired that narrative for yourself, like saying, I can write or whatever it may be, then you can start taping that around places that you like to hang out, maybe on the mirror, maybe where you have your writing area or wherever it may be. So then you can just remember and keep looking at that and be like, ah, yes, I can do this. Or you can say some other things, I am good enough. Let's see, there's some other things that would be good to do when it comes to this. So like some of the stuff that I say to myself, um, if I'm having an off day, I go to the mirror in the morning and I'll be like, hey, beautiful, you're looking great. You can do this. Your day is going to be awesome. You got this. And then I talk myself up because that helps me feel a lot better. And of course, at first it feels really silly, but the more that you do it, then it can make you start feeling a lot better in yourself. And so it's like you can do the same thing when it comes to writing too. It's like start telling yourself that you are a good writer, that you can write this, that you can share your stories or whatever it may be, because it's definitely worth sharing these kinds of things. And sometimes we just have to remind ourselves how important it is to do these things. So another good thing to do is move your body. So like how animals do when they get stressed out or something like that, they shake for about 2 minutes or so. So they're like shaking their body and getting it out of their system pretty much. There's like breath work that you can do. There's EFT tapping, or you can just dance to your favorite song. Or you can go like on a walk like I usually do. And I sometimes on my walk, I just shake my body around a little bit or just stretch my arms while I'm going on the walk. So it's just good to notice if if you're feeling a bit off, there's some mental blockages going on, or you're feeling unsure about your writing, then just make it part of your routine before writing to like do some stretches or do some of the things that I had mentioned, do a little dance, whatever it is. Um, we got to remember it's good to be a kid once in a while. So doing a little crazy dance out of the blue, it's fine. This stuff helps you feel better in your body, and then it also can help with the writing because when it comes to writing, it's more than that. It involves so much more than just your pen to the paper or on the computer, especially when it's like those personal stories. So it's good to get connected with yourself more than just sitting there in the one spot. Now, something that I have mentioned to many of you is it's so good to have a place to write where you feel safe. And it also comes to getting that on your schedule. So I know I've mentioned to you guys that it's good to do this like a daily schedule where you have the writing maybe in the morning, evening, whatever time works best for you, and in the same place. Now, this round for my writing adventures, I I've tried to do that system and it doesn't work for me. So what I've now found that works for me now, these are just suggestions because everyone's way of doing things is completely different. So the way I did it, it does work. It just depends on if it works for your schedule. And then the one that I do now is I do task batching. And so what that means is I'll be doing writing for a few hours in a bulk period of time in one day. And so I might do that for 1 or 2 days of the week instead of every day. And so it becomes a repetitive thing um, every week though. So on that same day, same place, same time, I do the writing. And this helps me a lot more this time around because this story is way more personal than the story I had written prior. Like this one's about toxicity in the family and cutting ties to those in your family and not letting blood relations block you from taking care of yourself and having that self-love and self-care. And so like that's why this one I feel like I need to do the batching because after writing for a few hours, I need to catch my breath and I need to work on healing and working on all this extra stuff that wasn't as intense with the first book. So that's why I'm doing it this way with my scheduling, and it's been helping a lot. So when it comes to having this safe space, it's good, of course, for you to feel safe there. It's good to have it where it's cozy. You can make it kind of a ritual thing for yourself if you want as well. Meaning, like in this place that you go daily, weekly, um, however many times that you do it, it's good to stay consistent with it. So let's say you have this nice spot that you like to go to and um excuse me and this is like your sacred spot. So then maybe you can start lighting a candle or you make tea, you have your cozy socks that you put on every time you're here and you're going to start writing. So it's kind of like how I've mentioned before that in the mornings, maybe you grab a tea or a coffee, and then you can connect that with grabbing the pen and the paper. So you could kind of do this with the habit stacking with like cozy socks or lighting a candle, all these things. So when you do the habit stacking, when you add two things together, it can help it stay connected a bit more and make it a longer lasting habit in a way. So yeah, that's a good tips for the safe container. Then some people work best if you do like micro doses of writing. So that would be like for people that maybe feel like they're going to be getting overwhelmed or it just this works best for them. And so like that's what I would say set a timer on your phone or whatever you may use for that. And that can be like 15 to 25 minutes. And so this is the Pomodoro style. So it's like that time would be dedicated to writing. And then you walk away, do something else for a little bit, and then you come back for 15, 25 minutes again and go away for maybe 5, 10 minutes and then come back and so on and so forth. So this can help you like focus on the one specific section, idea, brainstorming at the beginning, whatever it is. And don't forget to celebrate each instance that you do this. So it doesn't matter how much that you get complete in that time, as long as all that time is dedicating towards the writing process. So that can even be like the research, doing all of that stuff. So it's like, it's very essential, especially with writing a book, to celebrate all of the wins, even the small ones, because it can feel like a long haul when you're writing and publishing a book. So it's good to give yourself that love for those small wins because it's the small ones that get to the big one anyways. And there is a mantra you could say, progress over perfection. So it's like all about taking those steps. They can be small, big, whatever they are for you. So like for me, as I was healing from my traumatic brain injury, I had a mantra and it was slow and steady wins the race. And like that's what helped me keep going and pushing forward, even though it took me 7 years to heal. I still kept at it because I believed that I was going to get there. And that's the same like with writing a book. I hope it would take 7 years, but yeah, it's good to give yourself grace, and it's okay if you have to take small steps here or there. It's hard sometimes, especially when it's the personal stories. Now, this is something I know was mentioned, and it was about our inner critic. So instead of shutting down your inner critic, you can try having a conversation with it. So, like asking it, what are you trying to protect me from? And then when you're doing this, I know it can feel kind of silly at times, but just remember that stay open-minded and just let it come. Don't judge it and just let it happen. And if it doesn't, you can turn this into like journaling about it, where you ask yourself, what are you trying to protect me from? What do you need to feel safe? Can we work together on this? What is going on? What is making me feel unsafe? Whatever it may be. So it's a good way to help yourself with this. And I've also heard that some people with the ego, when that happens and it's telling you like, oh, you can't do this, this isn't working out, whatever it may be, some people have given it a name and like said, oh, this is my secretary that is too over helping. Like she gives too much. She wants to help too much. And then you could be like, okay, my secretary, please go back to your, go back to your job over there. I got this. And I know that may work for some as well. But there are a few different ways to go about doing this. It is really good to, when you do have that voice come up saying, oh, this isn't good enough, you're not doing good enough, oh, this is bad, whatever it may be, then you can just recognize that's coming up and say, okay, thank you for that. But now I'm going to get back to what I'm doing because I know it's doing good. And I know that the first draft is not the last draft of a book. So it's okay for it not to be so bad. Thank you, Cheryl. Have a good day. I hope that helps you.
Thank
And then this
you.
will be recorded.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. But yeah, so some people with their inner critic, they give it a silly name or make it have a silly voice in their head. And this just helps it be more playful and gives it a little less powerful. So like that's the same as I had mentioned about saying it's a over helping secretary or something. So yeah, it just helps with the whole mind switching it into a game instead of being so serious about it. Now, another thing that I mentioned to a lot of people is it's good to reconnect with your why, because when we hit these blocks, we're kind of forgetting the whole reason we decided to do it. And this is what should help drive you to keep on working on this book. And I know there are times when you're like, oh, that's still not strong enough. Well, that's why there are these other methods that I've mentioned and a few more that I'm going to as well. So it's like, think of, why does this story matter to you? Like, why do you want to get it out there? Who might need to read this in a moment of despair? Like, who are those people that you want to touch that this book means the world to them? Because I mean, there are people out there that maybe are struggling with what you want to write about, and all they're doing right now is they feel lost. And if they had your book in their hands, it would change their world. And then it's also good to think of like, what part of your healing or truth still needs to be spoken. So this is like really doing some of that inner looking. And something that I have mentioned several times is it's good to write from the heart. And so like when you're thinking of this question, you are truly thinking from the heart. Yes. So this brings you back to the heart as I had mentioned. Let's see. Yes, we cannot forget get support. And that's something that you can definitely get in the writing community. There, writing can feel like a lonely journey. And this is the huge reason why I created the writing community because when I was writing my other book, my bestseller, I felt alone and lost and frustrated. It was it was not very fun at times because the people around me, they weren't writing a book. They had no idea the struggles and the problems that I was going through. I mean, like I maybe told them, but they didn't fully understand. And like with this group, you're surrounded by other writers. You're surrounded by the people that have published books, the other, maybe they've done magazines, they've done all kinds of things involving writing, and they might be working on a book alongside you. So it's great to be surrounded by the people that are doing what you're doing. This can help you with your motivation, and this can also help you with relatability, connections with others, which that alone is so genuine and so helpful because maybe you're struggling with one thing and you mention it in the group, and then you find out that someone else has been struggling through the same thing. And then maybe there's another one that learned how to solve that problem. So it's a great way to come together and be supportive and helpful for one another. And, when it comes to getting that support, it's a great time to share your fears out loud. And it's where you get that connection, like I had mentioned, to you're being vulnerable. And I know it can be scary at times, but this also helps you get a deeper connection with others and also help you heal from it, whatever is making that happen. And this is a great thing that's all about the writing process as well, because when we're writing, we're also working on the healing process. And it's maybe a lot more deeper when it's a personal experience or personal storybook compared to like a fictional book or like a children's picture book. But we can't forget that any book that we write, especially if we write it from the heart, we're putting a piece of ourselves in that story. So like, even if it's a children's picture book, it still has a piece of you in that story. It's still like your baby. Um, and the same with like a fictional book. There's a couple people that I know that are working on fictional books, and they told me about the story and I realized that it had a connection to their life. Even if it was fictional and had like monsters and all these crazy things in it, I could see that these were problems that they went through in their own life. And then they reflected it into these characters in a way, or made a whole world dedicated to these people that they love that have color blindness. And it's just like these little things here or there that you can get the feeling that their heart is in what they're writing. And so I think that's beautiful when that happens. So another thing is trust the timing. So sometimes when you get these blocks that come up, it's just something that you're not ready to push forward a little bit. So you maybe just need to give yourself some time. And so that means like you can go on a walk or maybe just take a shower or just write about the block that's coming up. It's good to give yourself some time to rest. It's not all about just doing, going, and doing. It's also about like reconnecting with yourself and giving yourself a little bit of a break here or there. And I know a few of the ladies in my community have been feeling very much under the weather, and I'm happy to hear that they are taking care of themselves and they understand that they need to rest. So I was very thankful that they both understood that. But yeah, I think that sums up what I have to say about this. I know that with the book that I'm working on right now, I've been having a heck of a lot of blocks and I've been slowly like breaking them down bit by bit, but it definitely has been harder. And what I've learned now is when I'm getting that very uncomfortable feeling, like in my gut or in my heart, that usually now means that I need to keep pushing more in. And it's because the stuff that I'm writing about at these times, I'm starting to get the memories popping up in my head again. So it's like I'm kind of reliving them in a way. And so that means all the emotions and the feelings are coming with it. So what I did with the last book was I became aware to remember this is something in the past. And so like this is what I'm working on incorporating with this as well, the whole writing process. And so this is just something I want to say to all of you is we're writing about the past, especially the rocky, rough time, the personal stories that we went through, it's good to remember that that's something in the past and it's not the now. It's not you this present day. And it's okay that it was rough and all these things. It's just good to become aware of it and remember that your past is not you to this day. So I think that's just a good thing to remember when it comes to the writing process because I know that sometimes I get scared of these feelings that come up. I get really fearful. Um, I don't want to relive it again. One time was enough. So I'm like, oh, I postpone writing, or I find something to take its place, or I find priority of being like, oh, I need to do this instead. This is less on my list. But what it really comes down to is I'm just scared to feel those feelings again or to remember some of those memories. Because it's like I kind of blocked some of it out of my mind because it's so painful. But the more I'm going into my story, the more I'm realizing how I need to get into there because this is a story that's going to help so many people out there. And I believe this for so many of you out there, especially if it feels raw and it's painful for you to go into it. That usually means that's what you need to heal the most. And that can also heal other people out there as well. But yeah, so that's my snippet of inner blocks. Does anybody have any questions for me regarding inner blocks, writing, all of it?
I don't really have a question, but the last point you made, it just clicked in my mind why I avoid my book. I was like, damn it, now I know I can't do it anymore. So thank you. It was very, yeah, it was eye-opening for me.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it is really tough that we get in our own way and it's like we do it so well that we it goes unnoticed. And we're like, "Oh, I'm just busy with life. I have this and this and this." And then you start breaking it down and then you realize, "Oh, wait, I have a fear of failure or I have a fear of reliving what I once went through." Or I have a fear that I'm going to be judged or whatever it may be underneath all of it. But it usually comes down to a fear or being so scared for whatever is underneath all of it. And that's why it's good to figure out what it is that's stopping you because it's more than just, oh, my priority list, or it's more than time or being too busy or whatever that is, because that's kind of like a top layer. There's so much underneath that that is actually blocking you from writing. But yeah. Angela, did you have any questions? Maybe she can't talk. Well, I have this recorded, so I know there were maybe a couple people that wanted to see this. If anybody has any more questions regarding the writing process, inner blocks, or any of that stuff, just let me know. You can post it in the group in the writing community or just DM me and we can talk about it. But yeah, thank you all for being here and have a wonderful day. Thank you.